What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft where you're back on ESPN with a 12-team full PPR mock. We have got the 10th overall pick. Should be pretty interesting. And while we wait for this thing to kick off, a reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section, your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. I will do my best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Has everything you could want at a great price. Top 150 overall player rankings in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. All those details in the description. But with that being said, let's take a look at what has transpired so far. The first two picks are in. They are as follows. Jonathan Taylor, sure, no problem. And then Najee Harris. So look, I get it. Najee Harris had a great rookie season, but he still shouldn't be drafted as a top 2 or a top 3 guy when you have Christian McCaffrey, when you have Austin Eckler, when you have Dalvin Cook. You can even probably throw in some other names in there as well. And I've said this before with Najee Harris. I expect a regression this season. I think it's going to be a situation where he's definitely not going to catch as many passes as he did in 2021. And the potential mobility of a Mitch Trubisky could also lower his rushing upside. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see another, top 4, top 5 finish from Najee Harris. Maybe it'll be right on the borderline of a top 5 finish, but it definitely won't be where he was just drafted at, which was top 2. Looking at some of the other selections, we saw 2 wide receivers go one right after the other in Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson with the 3rd and 4th pick. Insane when Christian McCaffrey is still there, so he drops to 5. Great value. Jamar Chase at 6. I don't know how you select Jamar Chase when Austin Eckler is still on the board. So that's pretty wild. Then Eckler goes at 108. Deebo Samuel just went at the 109. Wow. These people are drafting as if, we're stuck in 2021 with those finishes. But hey, I'm going to take advantage of that. DeAndre Swift falling to the 110 spot. I think that's an absolute steal. I would draft him after Taylor, after McCaffrey, and after Eckler. So I have him above guys like Najee Harris. I have him above, in full PPR, above Derrick Henry, above Joe Mixon. So I feel pretty good about the value that we got here in the first round. And now the question is, what are we going to do in the second? Ideally, hey, if Devontae Adams falls to us, I'd be pretty happy about that. Getting a top-end running back and a top-end wide receiver immediately. Otherwise, if it's not Devontae Adams, we're going to be looking elsewhere just because I think the value for wide receivers really drops off at that point. And so the typical guys that I've gone with are, an Aaron Jones, a Saquon Barkley, something like that. But hey, Devontae Adams is there. Let's go with him. To me, he's the next best wide receiver by far. And, I'm kind of curious to see where some of these other guys go. I know where I have them ranked. Speaking of Saquon Barkley, I have him ranked higher in my draft board, but he kind of goes at the spot that I'd feel comfortable taking him at the 204, even though his rankings probably suggest a end of the second round, maybe even third round selection, depending on the platform you are drafting on. Then you see Leonard Fournette, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams. Again, I continue to say this. I don't know how you draft Javonte Williams ahead of Aaron Jones, who just went at the 208, tremendous value. I would have taken him, at the 203 where we selected. Also, guys like Travis Kelce are still on the board. I don't think that that's going to last much longer. I would imagine that Kelce and Mark Andrews are either 2 of the last selections in the second round or 2 of the first in the third round, because at that point it gets to be a pretty good value. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, let's see if any weird stuff has happened. After Aaron Jones, you saw James Conner, then Tyreek Hill. Cam Akers at 211. I really, really don't like that. There's so many running backs I would pick above Cam Akers. It's not even funny. Like David Montgomery. I mean, Nick Chubb is still there. Ezekiel Elliott. I think we're in a real situation where we could potentially land here if we really wanted to. A Mark Andrews, a Nick Chubb, a Ezekiel Elliott. This is going to be very, very intriguing. I do think one of those guys will potentially drop to us, and we can take advantage of that. I'd be very happy. We already have Dalvin Cook as our number one running back. And for that reason, I think we are having an excellent first 3 rounds. What's made this possible? I think, Tyreek Hill being drafted earlier than I would anticipate, Josh Allen, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown. I would argue those guys are values where they went at the start of the 3rd round. I don't like the A.J. Brown selection. Mark Andrews, there he finally goes at 305, so he's not going to be in contention for us. There goes David Montgomery, but again, Nick Chubb's still there. Ezekiel Elliott, still there. I think both those guys would be excellent selections at this point in time, so maybe I even try to big brain it and select Nick Chubb first, since he's a little bit higher on this draft board, and then maybe people go by that, and by some miracle, Ezekiel Elliott drops to us in the 4th round, which I think would be the latest I've seen him last, and consider that it's a 12-team league on top of that. But again, to be fair, it really does matter where the respective platform has the player ranked. There goes Nick Chubb, so that wasn't in the cards. I really hope Ezekiel Elliott falls to us, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's picked right here. No, instead it's J.K. Dobbins. I don't know how you can select J.K. Dobbins ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke is a much better pass catcher. Like right now, I'm not even contemplating. I'm going Zeke, and I feel very, very comfortable with that selection. So we've got Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, and Devontae Adams. Like, I feel like all these guys went in the 1st round last year, but it kind of goes to show how 1 year, especially in a redraft, can change things. With Dalvin Cook, he's still going in the 1st round, I would say. Devontae Adams, him going from Green Bay to the Raiders, I still have him as a top 5 wide receiver. So, he's usually going at the beginning of the 2nd round. So I guess that makes sense. But Zeke falling, I mean, come on, guys. He was still a top 10 running back last year. So I don't get that at all. A guy that I was really hoping could fall to us in Travis Etienne goes at the 311. Maybe one of the earlier spots I've seen him go. So intriguing. I've been beating the drum for Travis Etienne in redraft leagues for, I feel like, forever at this point in time, especially in PPR formats. I'm going to be targeting him everywhere, and I'm okay, overpaying and maybe, quote unquote, reaching on him a little bit. Michael Pittman just went. I was really hoping we could get him, but we miss out. T. Higgins would be the next highest ranked player, so we could go with him. We could go with Terry McLaurin, who I'm a big fan of. With Carson Wentz, we could go with Mike Williams. All those guys, very, very viable options. I'm just going to go with the next highest ranked player. Let's go with T. Higgins here and see where some of these other wide receivers fall. But otherwise, I'd say we're building a very balanced team here. I probably would have gone Travis Etienne if, excuse me, the reason for that reaction was because I just saw Cordero Patterson go at the 404, which is absolutely insane. That shouldn't be happening. I get that he has, running back and wide receiver designations, but you're not going to see what you did in Cordero Patterson this year like you did in 2021. Just it's not going to happen. It's not built the same way. So that's an absolute reach, probably one of the worst picks so far in this draft. I mean, I have him comfortably outside of my top 25 running backs, probably off the top of my head. Then you see DJ Moore, you see Josh Jacobs, Jalen Waddle. So some really good values here on DJ Moore, on whoever gets Terry McLaurin, whoever gets Marquise Brown, that group of guys at the end of the 4th round. I think that's an awesome spot, really, around the end of the 4th, 5th, maybe even early 6th, to nab up some difference-making wide receivers. A guy that I think potentially could be a steal would be actually two teammates, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but it really depends on what happens at the quarterback situation. There's still, I feel like, one final domino to fall, that being Jimmy Garoppolo, and if he stays with the 49ers or if he goes somewhere else. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye out for. And worth mentioning, we just had Rashad Penny go in the fourth round. I realize that the upside is there, but this team, speaking of Seattle, like we were just doing a little bit beforehand with those wide receivers, yes, Penny was great at the end of the season, and Chris Carson won't really be a factor. And Kenneth Walker is a rookie, so I understand the upside, but he's still very much boom or bust. Like, he shouldn't be going in the fourth round. There's other running backs, like an Elijah Mitchell, that I would take pretty much all day, every day, ahead of Rashad Penny. And, that's no other way to put it. That's a big time reach. You could get him comfortably a handful of rounds later. But, I guess they just went for the upside there. So just had to be mentioned. I mean, if the Seahawks don't add a quarterback, then that rushing attack is, I think, really going to take a hit because, I mean, it's not really going to be all that threatening. And I feel like it could be shut down pretty easily by opposing defenses. As far as other selections, you see Amon Ra go afterwards. I feel like ESPN has him ranked way too high. He's not going to come close to duplicating anything of what he did last season. So, give me pretty much every single wide receiver drafted after him. Like Terry McLaurin, yes. Mike Williams, yes. When it happens, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Brendan Cooks, yes. It's like the list goes on and on and on. So, yeah, man, this is absolutely crazy. He's just not in a situation where he's going to get as many targets. He has to contend with TJ Hawkinson. He has to contend with DeAndre Swift, Jameson Williams. It's just a long list. And, Jared Goff isn't a guy that's going to throw for like almost 5,000 yards. So with that being the case, I think that it's pretty crazy to have him ranked as a top 20, top 25 wide receiver, whatever the case might be here. But we are on the clock now. DK Metcalf would be the next choice here per these rankings, but I'm going to go off my own list. I'm going to go my next highest ranked wide receiver. That would be one Allen Robinson. So let's do that. And then I'm curious to see if one of the tight ends goes. I could potentially draft a George Kittle or a Darren Waller. Probably George Kittle, since, we already have Devontae Adams. But we'll see. I could very well, kind of envision one of them being selected here in the next 4 picks. So, it's all right. We can add depth elsewhere. There's still a lot of great players that we can go with. Like I mentioned before, guys like a Darnell Mooney, guys like a DK Metcalf potentially here, I think becomes a good value. Let's kind of sort it out by position, though, so we can get a better idea of the situation. As far as running back, it's Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Harris. So we've gotten to the point where, the running back pool has kind of been exhausted. Oh, there goes George Kittle at the 601. So, I mean, a little bit less than ideal. Wide receivers, we got Metcalf, we've got Mooney, we've got Chris Godwin. Godwin could be a great value pick. There goes Dalton Schultz. Wow. I actually thought Dalton Schultz could maybe fall a little bit further, but I think probably at this point, honestly, it makes the most sense to draft Darren Waller. Yes, we'd have 2 guys in the same offense, but I've said it before. I think that this offense is going to be much improved, and I think Darren Waller is going to be the number 2 target for this offense behind Devontae Adams. And the catalyst of it all is one Derek Carr, who I think can be a top 5 guy in terms of passing yards this season. So I'm very bullish on him. As a result, I'm very bullish on this offense and the weapons on this offense. And the fact that we got Darren Waller in the 6th round, I'm very happy about that. Like I said, probably could have gone George Kittle first and then gone Allen Robinson. But, we kind of said, all right, let's see what happens. And we got the guy that I was a little bit more excited about in Allen Robinson. So, this is kind of starting to pick up a little bit after our Darren Waller selection. You see Darnell Mooney, DK Metcalf finally off the board, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin. Those two names, Thomas and Godwin, huge upside. Obviously, though, there's injury concerns. So what do? You can't draft them at their peak, how they've performed the last couple of years, even though I feel like Michael Thomas, it's been 10 years since the last time he played. But either way, in my opinion, I think both those guys, especially like in the later rounds, end of the sixth, if you've built good depth, they're good flyers to take a chance on. Otherwise, you see Amari Cooper. He's a guy that's going to tumble in rankings depending on what happens with the Deshaun Watson situation, how long he's out for. Then Juju Smith-Schuster, another good value pick there at the end of the sixth round. Kareem Hunt, TJ Hawkinson, and then Adam Thielen to round out the sixth round. So we've probably got 2 more picks to make here. We can kind of round out our roster. Ideally, right now, looking at it, if we get Rashad Bateman, I would be very happy. If we get actually the top quarterbacks are still on the board, so I actually imagine that there's going to be a run on the quarterback position, but I didn't even realize that both Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray were still there. I just decided, I'm just going to continue to add pieces in what I kind of imagine are a little bit more important positions just because of the depth at the quarterback position itself. There goes Rashad Bateman at the 702, probably one of the later spots that I've seen him go in. So a great value in my opinion. Then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So we're getting towards the end of it right now. Again, I'm really hoping, no love for the quarterbacks. I imagine the auto pick here is going to nab one of those quarterbacks. So we've seen Russell Gage, we've seen Tyler Lockett go ahead of those quarterbacks, which, I mean, again, I get it. There is depth, but those guys both are elite options in my opinion. James Cook just went ahead of those quarterbacks. That's insane. So Dak Prescott just went ahead of. Okay, so are we going to really get sniped here with Dak, Lamar, and then Kyler Murray? No, okay, so we actually are going to land Kyler Murray, so I'm pretty excited about that. I would have gone Lamar Jackson ahead of Kyler Murray, but it doesn't work out. It's okay. And then let's just queue up one final player here. And who's that player going to be? Let's look at the options. Wide receiver, Elijah Moore is a decent option. Guys like Alan Lazard. So I'll queue up Elijah Moore. But overall, kind of just running through this team, I think it's a pretty balanced team. I honestly do. The one thing, that I would say, running back depth could be better. Maybe I even queue up Melvin Gordon here. I think he's a very good value pick as well. Where could we gone running back? I was hoping we could get Travis Etienne in the 4th round. Instead, we got T. Higgins there, I believe. So I wasn't expecting Travis Etienne to go as early as he did. But it's okay. It's a situation where I feel like we still got really good players at our positions and just good value picks in general. But yeah, let's make this one final selection here and kind of wrap it up. Overall, I'd probably give this team like a B grade. I think we did really good on Dalvin Cook, on Zeke, really good values there. Devontae Adams, can't get mad at that. We got a top 5 tight end in Waller. We got a really good value on Allen Robinson. Same with T. Higgins. So, yeah, I mean, I'm never really going to be upset about this team. And we got a really good value on Kyler Murray. So, with all those things in mind, I'd say don't, think you're going to be able to do a 1-for-1 carbon copy of a team like this. I think we got really lucky in some aspects. So that's just my 2 cents with a couple of guys falling. So I'm adding Elijah Moore now. And again, with that, another example of a good value pick. But we're going to wrap it up here. As always, let us hear it in the comments section, your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, now available for purchase, details in the description. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.